Hello everyone, I'm just going to do a final couple of videos on the target clear for AQA A-level computer science in C#. Okay, there are some excellent Python videos this year from Mr. Berard. I think I'm the only person doing these in C# this year, so hopefully it helps some of you and my own students as well. Okay, so I'm going to have a look at task 7 in the ZigZag coding challenges. Okay, so I'm just going to go through what it is. Okay, so worded very much like the exam question. This question extends to the skeleton code to allow the user to correctly identify targets in future, to use correctly identified targets in future expressions. So, for example, you've got your targets here and your numbers allowed here. And if you were to add 9 and 6 and you were to hit the 15, you've correctly identified 15. The user should then give the option to either add the number 15 or just 1 or just 5 to the numbers allowed list. Okay, to be used in a later turn. The numbers allowed list can increase to more than 5 values. So your extra number can be added on the end there. This functionality can add 0 to the numbers allowed list. Okay, that would cause a problem with the divisible by 10, but it seems you don't have to worry about that. It's just warning you that you can do it. It's important, I think, with these questions not to get carried away with your verification and checking for all sorts of errors and things. We'll come to that in a minute. The objective of this is to harvest as many marks as you can, as quickly as you can. And you can always come back to the question later on if you've saved each individual question, that is. So don't forget to keep your code in Notepad or however you want to organize it. I think some teachers, some exam centers will keep code for each question. But if you don't do that, just make sure you keep your code organized so that you can come back to it later on and maybe get a few more marks from it if you want to do. But it's important not to keep going on just trying to get 1 or 2 extra marks out of a question when you can easily get a lot more marks further on in the paper. Anyway, to continue on with this, okay, so this is what we have to do. We have to modify the play game and the check if user input evaluation is a target methods to display when a target has been identified and prompt the user to choose if they would like to use to add it to the numbers allowed list. Okay, and then we create a new method called select value from target, which displays the correctly identified target and its component digits and invites the user to select which part they would like to add to the numbers allowed list. Then you have to modify the fill numbers method to add the selected target to the numbers allowed list. So fill numbers, if you remember, populates this numbers allowed list and adds extra digits to it. Okay, you get a bit of a, I mean, these aren't the actual exam marking schemes, of course, but you can see here that just by making the a couple of tiny amendments to these methods, you get 2 marks. 2 marks for the select value from target and modifying fill numbers there, and 1 mark for the running the required tests. I don't know, in the actual marking scheme for the paper, for example, it may give you a mark just for quick, asking and prompting the user to enter something in. So, or just maybe just introducing a new method that they've actually asked you to introduce, which is kind of cut and pasting code when all's said and done. So we'll look at that. As it happens, I've already amended the code, and I just want to talk you through what I've done. So let's go back to what we did. So modify the play game and the check if user input evaluation is a target. Okay, so I've identified what I've done and made my changes. So in the play game, I've altered this here. So I've brought in a new variable called target to add, and I've set it to -1. -1 means it's dud, or we're not going to add a target. It's like a kind of a rogue value. So we've set it to -1, and then if we hit a target and we're going to add that to the numbers allowed list, then we'll set that value to something else. So that is just basically amending this the call to this, and we're also amending the numbers allowed, the call to the numbers allowed list to add that target. So if you remember, 9 plus 6 is 15. We can add 1 or 5 or 15. That's what this value is going to be, and we pass it over to the numbers allowed. Now, this is where we've made the change, or I've made the change to the check if user input evaluation is a target, as requested here. Okay, so I've told us which methods to change, and this is the change that we've made. So now mine differs from the marking scheme basically, but if a target is hit, and don't forget it goes all the way through the targets and picks off every single target. So if there's more than 115 in that targets list, then we'll hit both of them or all three of them or whatever, because it goes through all the targets and adds 2 to the score every time you hit one. And then we set this Boolean value here to true. So that'll be set. It was set to false before that list. So I've kind of interpreted this that we're gonna, if we hit 15 more than once, we're only going to be prompted to add 15 or 1 or 5 once. So I've checked to see if this is true and then done this bit here. Okay, so this is where I've said congratulations, you've hit a target. Okay, because we know that because that Boolean value has been set. And then we're going to ask the user to add a number or part of it to the numbers allowed list as requested. And we put that in this string choice. We convert it to upper, by the way, just to make sure that they can enter lowercase or uppercase y. I'm not bothering to check whether they've entered a y or an n or an x or whatever. I'm just picking up a y. Same as the marking scheme actually there. And if so, then I'm going to use this function, which they told us to create a new function, to select a value from there, from the target, okay, and put it into the target to add to the numbers allowed list. And this is the new, and this will return a Boolean value to say that they've successfully hit a target. And at that point, you can. We were also returning the target to add. Okay, just something important there. If I didn't put that ref int, if I just put int, then I would be fed a value here, but I wouldn't be changing it back to the calling routine. I'll just cover that at the end of the video, but that ref int is important, and I think I've put some displays in to demonstrate what's going on there. Okay, so this select value from target, very, very simple. All I've done, if we're past 15, to carry on with the example, the target hit is 15. We divide target hit 15 by 10 to get the first digit. So that first digit will be 1. 15 divided by 10 is 1, remainder 5. Okay, so we put 1 in the first digit because it can only hold an integer, not a floating point. And then in the second digit, I'm just returning the remainder. That's what that percentage means if you know your C#. I'm returning the remainder. So the second digit will be 5 because 15 divided by 10 is 1, remainder 5. I'm just putting the remainder in the second digit. So that's a very simple way of splitting up. And sometimes that comes in handy with section Bs, depending what they're asking you to do. But if they're asking you to split up numbers, this is a dead easy way to do it. You know, you can do a bit of iteration, split it a long number into individual digits using this, rather than converting it to a string and then going through it as a string. So that's what we've done here. And then this is just simply displaying the 3 options, because we've got the first digit, the second digit, and the original target hit, which has been passed in. Okay. Then if the user has picked 1, it's going to return the first digit back to the call, and so on. And then if they've not selected 1 to 3, unlucky, they've been sent back a -1, which isn't going to add that digit to the numbers allowed. So that kind of demonstrates that. Okay, so moving on, we said that we would make a change to the fill numbers, I think. Just find that. Here we go. So this is kind of like a change throughout, really. Okay, so if it's a training game, we're just going to add the target to add, which has been passed over again. Okay, we're passing this number from one routine to another. Okay, so we're not passing it back from this routine, so we don't need the ref int in this particular case. So we're not passing it back. But here we've got target to add. It will just string it on. In this particular case, here, if we're going for a random game, we're going to add our 5 numbers as normal, and then we are going to say if the target to add is not -1, if you remember that was the rogue value, then we're going to add the target to add. Now I've put this little bit of a display in here just to sort of show what's going on, or rather right line, and then I've added it to the numbers allowed. So that will add an extra digit. Just going back, now the marking scheme, even though I don't think it necessarily indicated it, it kind of put this code in there, if you like. So if 15 appeared more than once, you'd be asked this question again and again. Now, I suppose what you could do is you could pick 1 the first time, 5 the second time you hit 15, and then 15 the third time you hit 15. You know, so maybe there's merit in that. I didn't think that the question asked necessarily for that, or I couldn't see that. So I don't think there's anything wrong in what I've done. I think this is probably a slightly better way of doing it, but I'm guessing whoever posed the question has also written the marking scheme, so I don't know whether they wanted this in here. But if you put it in here, every time you hit a 15, you would be asked this question here. Okay, so I've just put it in once at the end of the iteration if the Boolean value has been set to true. So that is all the changes, and it sounds more complicated than it is. And this is another point that I wanted to make, you know, is I guess there's not very much time now, but nobody ever learned to drive by watching somebody else drive, for example. So it's important to practice this code. I've sort of gone through this and I thought first, oh gosh, how do I do this? And it's not too bad once you get yourself in the mindset of solving the problem once you get stuck in, even for my old brain. Okay, so that's it. Let's give it a run or give it a whirl. Okay, we'll go for the random gain and we'll try and hit a double number. So this is always the tricky bit under pressure. Okay, I can hit 41 by going 5 times 10 minus 7 minus 2. Okay, hopefully that's right. Yeah, target hit 41. Would you like to add this number or part of it to the numbers allowed list? Yes, I would. Okay, please select 4, 1 or 41. I think I'm going to select 41 now. Hope this works. Okay, it works just before I started the video, but knowing my luck. Okay, here we go. 41. Oh, and it hasn't. Oh, because I've entered 41 and not 3. Oh, what a numpty. Okay, let's see if we can hit another target with the numbers I've got. Okay. 70. Okay, I can get 23. 9 plus 9, 9 plus 9 plus 5. Okay, mustn't mess this up this time. Okay, so I think I'm going to add the third digit, not 23. Okay, and it's added it. Okay, so there you go, it's added it to the end of the list. So that has worked. I just wanted to let's just make this point because it might come up in the section C's, okay, which is this ref business. I've kind of put up here what have I done with it? Yeah, Copilot, here we go. So just to sort of demonstrate, I've asked Copilot, what does by ref mean? Just so that you know, okay? So this is the bit where you put the ref int in. If you put ref int in, it will change the original value. So this is a method called modify value. This is the main routine. So we've set the value to 5 here. We then call modify value, which passes over that 5 into there, and then we add 10 to it. The console write line will then output 15. Now, if we'd missed that ref out and we hadn't called it by ref, it would not change that original value. We could add 10 to it, but when we came out of that method back in here, it would only output 5. So I can just go to this. I don't know whether I can make changes. So if I do that, well, it's not liking it. I think I've kind of made the point, but the point is, if you want this to change and be fed back out of the routine, which we do, okay, so when that when this check if user valuation is a target, we want this to return a value back out again. The same with the score. If the score is updated within this routine, we want it to stay changed and not mess with the original value. So just make sure you know what that by ref means. It means it's changing the value outside the routine that's been called as well as inside it. If that isn't there, it will only change it within the routine. And when it exits the routine, that value will remain unchanged as if you hadn't called the routine at all. And that is pretty much it for this video. Okay, all the best. If this is the last video you watch, all the best for your exam on Wednesday, and hopefully I'll do one more video. I want to do one more video before Wednesday morning. Okay, bye for now.